Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Northern Perspective. I wish it was under better circumstances. We have breaking news literally within the last 10 or 15 minutes. Ontario, former Conservative MP Marilyn Gladu has crossed the floor to the Liberal Party. This is a surprise, to be sure. It doesn't seem like Ms. Gladu has had any indication that she was interested in moving over. If you listen to her speak, if you listen to her policies, if you listen to her stance, if you look at her community involvement, there is no resemblance of a Liberal in her body. But I guess they're there because she decided to betray her constituents that put her in the seat that she was in. So joining us to talk about this very quickly is the MP out in the Port Hope area that we went to see in a EDA event just the other week, Philip Lawrence. Philip, thanks for joining us on Northern Perspective.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here, Ryan. But as you said, I wish I was here under a little better circumstances. This is disappointing, right? And I guess I would just lead off, if you'll indulge me, by saying I've been personally approached to cross the aisle, but I would never do that. One, because I have solid conservative beliefs that line up very well with the Conservative Party and with the leader Pierre Poilievre. And secondly, I would never betray my voters. The reality is I'm sure you're aware, and most of your viewers are aware, 95% of the people go into the ballot box voting either for the Conservative Party or for Pierre Poilievre, which means that when someone crosses the floor, they're betraying 95% of the people who voted for them. And I think it's important that the representatives have that humility, that they realize that they are part of a team, and that when people go to that ballot box, they're not just voting for Philip Lawrence. In fact, the academic evidence would say nearly the opposite. They're voting for the platforms, policies behind the Conservative Party. For all those folks, as you went to and I went to the delegate meetings, so it's a grassroots party. We're all part of a team working together, and so to betray that trust, well, I think I've said enough on that, Ryan.
And like, what's the reaction in Caucus when something like this happens? Because obviously there's disappointment. Is there shock? Is there just disgust? Or is it just a combination of everything?
Yeah, I mean, like any other workplace, one of the reasons why you go to work, or one of the reasons being part of if anyone's ever played organized sports, sometimes it's as important to play for the gal or guy next to you, right? And so when someone leaves, there's disappointment. There's no doubt about that. There's shock too, for folks to I can just sort of regale with my personal story, right? Like I'm in this because I believe in the fundamental tenets of conservatism. I believe that Canadians have such tremendous potential, and unfortunately, decade after decade, whether it be the most recent Trudeau or the previous Trudeau, Canadians' ability to succeed have been held back. Our ability to succeed have been inhibited by an overly aggressive government that suffocates entrepreneurship, that suffocates freedom, and I'm here to fight for Canadians. And so to switch sides on that is just it's shocking. It's disappointment. Throw in your adjective there, but I will say, regardless of what happens, we have only one choice, and that is to keep on fighting. And I will fight to my very last breath for Canada, for Canadians, and for the principles of the Conservative Party, for limited government, for freedom, and for the ability to say and express what we want. And I will, like I said, I'll fight to my last breath for that. And so, just so everyone knows, I am 110% behind Pierre Poilievre and 110% behind the Conservative Party. And there are not great days, but there will be great days ahead of us.
Yeah, as we say to everybody, days like this are disheartening. They are a punch to the gut, but when it all comes down to it, it's only a matter of time, and that is what our our core belief is, and that's what drives us every day. It's only a matter of time before a conservative government gets into power, and that is going to be the day when we finally start seeing things heading in the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight, but we can start taking the proper steps to putting this country back on track.
100%. And you know what? Canada's best days are ahead of us. 110% resolve of that, particularly, I mean, when I just look across any of the great elements of Canada. But one thing that really encouraged me in the last election and continues to encourage me is Generation Alpha, Generation Z. Man, there are some brilliant, brilliant people who are part of that, and they get it. They understand it. Pierre Poilievre's message appealed to them. They understand that we need to protect our freedom, that freedom, as Ronald Reagan once said, is never more than one generation away. And we need to get up every morning fighting for the great country we have, fighting for freedom of speech, fighting for economic freedom, fighting to make sure that Canada will continue to be the best country in the world, and then our best days are truly ahead of us.
Phil, thanks for taking the time to chat with us about this. And stay tuned, everybody, for a video later today or tomorrow where Mr. Lawrence and I are going to be sitting down to talk about Bill C9 and the Alto project and the boondoggle that's becoming. Phil, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's an honor and privilege to serve.
Now I want to take you to the actual statement Ms. Gladu put out. Proud to be the newest member of our Liberal government. And this is what the letter says. Dear citizens of Sarnia, Lambton, and I can't even pronounce the last part, my apologies. The past year has been like no other that Canada has ever faced, and I've heard clearly from constituents that you want serious leadership and a real plan to build a stronger and more independent Canadian economy. That is why I have decided to join Prime Minister Mark Carney and Canada's new government as the newest member of his caucus. It is a privilege to have served as your member of parliament for more than a decade, and I have made a choice to do the best thing for our community, priorities, and importantly, for our country. The experience that I've gained working globally, etc., etc., etc. I want to go back to when she says, I have heard clearly from constituents that you want serious leadership and a real plan. Right. So, here's the thing. I bet that you're hearing that. The problem is we're not getting serious leadership by Mark Carney. We're not getting serious leadership by the Liberals. And all we're getting is more announcements. Now, you've heard from constituents. Well, let's see what those constituents are saying in your riding right now, shall we? Oh, look, your riding shows an 8-point lead for the Conservatives. So, Ms. Gladu, please explain to Canadians, please explain to your constituents how that you've heard your constituents and they want a Conservative member of Parliament, but you're crossing to the Liberals. Please explain that to everybody, because everybody would like to hear what you have to say. Or maybe they won't, because it's just going to be a pile of BS anyway. That type of letter is a slap in the face to all of the voters that put you there. And again, we've been consistent. We don't care if you're Conservative, NDP, or Liberal. You do not cross the floor. You resign your seat, go to a by-election, and see if they would put you there. But you won't do that, will you? Because, oh, magically, you're going to see that all the Conservatives that put you there are not going to vote actually Liberal. It is frankly disgusting. Especially because this was Marilyn Gladu right before the House rose for the Easter break. Check this out.
Mr. Speaker, the Emergency Measures Act has been ruled unlawful by the courts twice. The Liberals violated the charter rights of Canadians by freezing their bank accounts when the threat of a national security threshold was never met. They've wasted millions of dollars of taxpayer money, and now they are appealing this court decision for a third time. With an affordability crisis and a jobs crisis, will the Liberals quit wasting taxpayer monies on something that the courts have ruled twice is unlawful?
So, that was Marilyn Gladu, and that was her talking about the Liberals wasting money, talking about violating the charter rights of Canadians, freezing bank accounts, and all of the rest of that. Sounds like that's the serious leadership that she's talking about in her letter. Is that what that means, Ms. Gladu? Serious leadership is freezing bank accounts of Canadians, wasting taxpayer money on issuing another court appeal challenging the ruling of the Emergencies Act? Is that really what that means? She's as transparent as a glass pane window, folks. And I don't know about you, but this just gives me even more motivation to dig in harder and to keep fighting until we actually get a government that stands for the people instead of for their pockets.